It was a stupid idea, and I couldn't believe I had agreed to this. Camping was not something I considered fun, let alone camping in a graveyard. However, it was Halloween, and a party was planned. 20 people would be here tonight. My closest friends had come all dressed up in their spookiest outfit. I had come as Daenerys Targaryen. I loved Game of Thrones, and my boyfriend Matthew was here as Jon Snow. Matthew was currently having a sword fight with one of his friends who was dressed as Jack Sparrow. I rolled my eyes. Tonight he promised he would stay by me, and the whole hour we had been here he had spent close to 5 minutes with me. No sooner had we arrived he spoke with me, then it was see you soon. My friends were all dancing, and I thought about joining in, however I was so mad at my boyfriend. I wanted to stay home and watch a scary movie. Josie, who had organized the party, came by. I knew she was not happy to see me. She had her eye on Matthew and was furious when he chose me. Practically throwing a small book at me, she walked away. Her high heels got caught in the grass and she fell over. I couldn't help but giggle. 3 guys ran over to her aid and she brushed them off. Matthew, she called out. I think I have broken my ankle. Matthew stopped his swordplay. He looked at her. Looks like you got enough help, he told her before going back to his swordplay. Josie was not happy and took off her bunny ears and threw them on the ground. This was so funny, and at that moment I was glad to be here. The guys helped Josie get up and she had to lean on them to walk. One of the guys, Scott, was a well-known playboy, and tonight he set his sights on Josie. He kept trying to feel her up no matter how many times she knocked him back. Looks like Scott's caught another one in his web, Matthew called out. Scott looked at him. If the tent's rockin', don't bother knocking, he hollered back. I looked down at the book I had been handed. Book of the Dead. I opened it, and on the first page was a poem. Whoever recites these words, beware. For the dead are almost there. The spirits will walk among the living. Bring terror to all they see. The sound of the wolf's cry will advise you they are here. So careful if you say these words. Mortis est obsecro facite resurgimus. Ut locere autumn quod intericitor autumn quod nodis. As I recited the words, wondering what it was that I was saying, Lucy sat down next to me. Oh, are you reading that crap? Though I am impressed Josie knows Latin, she is lucky to master English, she disclosed. What does it mean? Lucy took the book. So please do rise in order to talk of the, sorry I can't work out what is next. She threw the book down and stood up. Come on. I'm going to dance. You should join us. I stood up and made our way to where people were dancing. Someone put on the Monster Mash and everyone was singing along with the song. We do the mash, we do the Monster Mash, Lucy and I sang out. Michelle danced over. She was having fun and really getting into the dance. Both Lucy and Michelle had chosen to dress up as a Day of the Dead zombies, and Lucy's headpiece was falling off. The song finished and I heard the beginning of All of Me by John Legend. Suddenly I felt someone grab me by the waist and I noticed it was Matthew. I smiled and he joined in singing. You got my head spinning, no kiddin'. I can't pin you down. What's going on in that beautiful mind? My anger with Matthew disappeared. He could be a romantic sometimes. We started to dance together as the song ended. Matthew stopped dancing and joined in singing the last 2 lines. 'Cause I give you all of me, and you give me all of you. Next thing I knew he was on a bent knee. I love you, please say yes and marry me. I screamed with delight, then threw my arms around him. Yes, yes, yes. It was then the sound of a wolf's cries rang out. We all stood frozen for a moment. "Good one, Josie," a voice shouted out. "So where are the ghosts?" Josie had turned pale. "I didn't do that. I never organized for the wolf sounds." "Sure you didn't," another voice called out. With that, a loud blood-curdling scream could be heard. I looked around, and standing on one of the graves was a woman. Her clothes were torn and part of her face was eaten away. I held on to Matthew tightly. The woman started to walk toward us all. "Let's get out of here," a voice sang out. We all started to run toward the exit. We made it to the exit, and standing at the gate was a young man. He was wearing a civil army uniform. He held up his musket. "Back, damn Yankees," the figure imparted. "We come in peace," Scott called out. Matthew turned and looked at Scott. "It's not an alien. In fact, I don't think it's even real." The figure shoved his musket into Matthew's face. "Please don't," I shouted, turning its attention back to me. I shuddered for a moment. "She's my fiancée," Matthew said. "You are betrothed?" "I was betrothed. I went off to war, and when I returned she had wed another man." Suddenly there was a loud laughter. Standing there in a fit of hysterical laughter was Jason, dressed as Pennywise. He was considered the clown, often playing practical jokes. "Knew it was a fake," Matthew declared. "They are my cousins Daisy and James," Jason divulged. With that, it was back to where we set up the tents. The music played again, and everyone got up and danced. As I stood in Matthew's arms, I noticed a figure of an old woman. I looked away and back again. She was gone. "Enough, Jason," I shouted over the music. Jason looked puzzled. "What?" I rolled my eyes. It wasn't worth talking about. I whispered to Matthew that I was going to our tent. It was a short time later the music was switched off and everyone was in their tents. I rolled over trying to get comfortable. It was then I heard a voice, "The living are such fools. They only see with their eyes." I opened the tent flap. No one was there. I paused for a moment and crawled back into the tent. It was then I decided next year I was staying at home and watching a scary movie.